2 days, today and tomorrow. Tomorrow we increase the heat, but as you can see, we're not alone in this. Look at all the heat alerts in place across the U.S., including us right here in the metro region in the hot peak underneath the extreme heat warning. This goes until 9 p.m. tomorrow evening. Tomorrow feels like temps could reach up to 110. Right now, the current air temp is 85 in the Twin Cities, 90 in St. Cloud. Dew points are sticky into the 70s, so we're feeling that humidity. You put the two together and our feels like temp is 90 here in the Twin Cities, but you're at 96 for locations like Alexandria, St. Cloud, southwestern Minnesota. Feels like temps in the triple digits, and we keep with almost off the charts humidity levels, swampy until Monday. Hence the next weather alert for the rest of the evening. Those feels like temps will be in the upper 90s, and then tomorrow, like I said, the heat actually increases a little bit. So if you're headed out to the Twins game, have to prepare for the heat. Temps in the 90s with feels like temps in the triple digits by the time the game does wrap up.
Sun this morning, but you could feel the heat arriving anyway.
You're right. I noticed that too. I was like, oh, it's cloudy out. Okay,
yeah,
but
it'll be cool.
But then the humidity, and I'm like, all right, here it comes. Then now the sun's out and we're feeling it. And tomorrow's going to, one focus is in across southwestern Minnesota coming up here tonight. I'll highlight that for you. And then tomorrow, another storm chance. Less humidity in the forecast for maybe Monday, Tuesday, but our temps will still be pretty warm. So at least this may not be as long of a heat streak, perhaps, as to what we've seen with our heat waves, but definitely need those heat safety precautions, of course, today as well as tomorrow. But here's what's going on with the storms to the west. So here's where we have Minnesota. Here's a storm system off to the west. Looking across South Dakota, you could see some storms, severe thunderstorm warnings that are in place there. Severe thunderstorm watch is in place just over the state line to our west until 11 p.m. Nothing going on across Minnesota or western Wisconsin, but I want to mention, if you live or if you are traveling to the southwestern part of the state coming up here tonight, that is where we do have that potential. Notice it's all the way up to a 3 out of a 5 enhanced risk in the red across southwestern Minnesota. Main threat would be the storms coming through and producing straight line wind damage. 80-mile-per-hour winds or so are a possibility with some of those storms. Now here's your next future radar. Honestly, models haven't been doing too great trying to depict a lot of these storms with this heat. It's sometimes an all or nothing scenario. With this one, we obviously already have the storms off to the west, but we'll watch as they start to make their way into the far southwestern part of the state of Minnesota. Those that do hold and clip southwestern Minnesota, even though this model doesn't really show much of that, could produce some straight line winds. So I want to make sure everyone's aware of that. And that's overnight tonight. We go into tomorrow. Tomorrow we have another chance of seeing some thunderstorms. And it's one of those situations where tomorrow evening some of us will stay completely dry and won't get anything. But those of us who do get storms could have thunderstorms go from general thunderstorm to severe pretty fast. So as we go into tomorrow evening, we'll watch for that chance for seeing some thunderstorms rolling through the region coming up here tomorrow evening. Here's where we have that 2 out of a 5 slight risk for severe storms tomorrow across Minnesota and western Wisconsin. Moral of the story there, tomorrow evening have the potential for some severe weather. It's possible. We'll keep an eye on it. Overnight, warm. So again, just dealing with the heat and not much of a reprieve at night. 75 your low. Tomorrow forecast high 97. 90s all the way up to the north. You factor in the humidity and our feels like temps close to the dangerous level. It's possible we could see 105, 110.
A pretty high number of days in the 90s here in July.
I'm going to look into that data for the 10 because I think it is possible. You know, there's the record number amounts of 90-degree plus, those types of things. We're definitely in the territory, so we'll look into that for 10.
Okay, thank you, Lisa.
We have dew points in the 70s, so that's kind of the top of the scale. That's Florida humidity there. Put the two together, feels like 91 in the metro, feels like temps in the upper 90s, feels like the triple digits across southwestern Minnesota. So our heat indices will continue to drop a little bit as we head into tonight, but by tomorrow, yep, we're back close to that dangerous category, 105, 110 for that feels like temp. As we go into Monday, it's still going to be hot, but the humidity will actually get a little bit bit better. So I'll have more details about that. And then I'm going to take Monday, Tuesday. It'll still be hot. We'll still have highs in the 90s, but the humidity ingredient will be taken out a little bit to start off next week. I do want to at least mention again, here's Minnesota. Here's off to our west. You can see all of the severe thunderstorm warnings in place just off to our west. And there's a severe thunderstorm watch in place as well until 11 p.m. just over the state line to the west. So I want to make sure you're aware that those storms could try to clip southwestern Minnesota overnight tonight. As you can see, things are quiet in the meantime, but there is that 3 out of 5 enhanced risk for severe weather just across southwestern Minnesota. Drops to a slight risk, 2 out of 5. And the reason for this is storms kind of diminishing or just not even making it further off to the east there. But those storms that do hit southwestern Minnesota bring in a pretty high straight line wind damage threat. Next, future radar as we head again into the overnight. Models try to clip just portions of southwestern Minnesota. Latest model, the model runs before this, the previous model runs, did pull them in across southwestern Minnesota. So it is still a possibility heading into the overnight. With the exception of that, it's just heat and humidity for most of us until tomorrow. Again, latter part of the day tomorrow, thunderstorms could fire up. We have enough juice in the atmosphere. We have the heat, we have the humidity. If storms do fire tomorrow, they could reach those severe levels. So we want to make sure you're aware of that. Prepare for heat and humidity tomorrow during the day, latter part of the day. Make sure you're aware of that potential for severe weather. We do have the 2 out of 5 slight risk for severe storms coming up tomorrow evening. Of course, we'll be on top of that here and let you know if any of those storms do reach those severe levels. In the meantime, it's going to be warm. Air conditioning cranking overnight, probably 75, your overnight low. And then tomorrow, high temp coming in at 97. But again, it's going to feel like almost 110, and that's at the top here, dangerous level when it comes to the heat index. Now, dew points do start to drop as we go Monday, maybe Tuesday, so we might have a heat advisory.
80-degree days we've had, that's something you're looking into, right?
Coming up here, of course, you love our weekend weather
Yes.
questions. Some people do, some people don't, but we're going to come up with something like that coming up here at 10. We'll dig into the data.
All right.
But look at all the alerts in place across the center part of the United States, including, of course, up here in Minnesota. You can see locations here in the red under the extreme heat warning. This goes until 9 p.m. tomorrow. That's why we have the next weather alert in place through that same time frame. Feels like temps tomorrow could hit 110. It's still pretty warm out there. Current air temp in the Twin Cities, 82. That's another thing. Not getting a reprieve from the heat overnight. Dew points in the 70s. It feels tropical out there. Put the two together, feels like 87. It's 10 p.m. and it feels just below 90 here in the Twin Cities. So here's the breakdown for tomorrow. Notice we really approach that dangerous category with your feels like temp tomorrow afternoon in the Twin Cities going between 105 close to 110. Now, as we go into Monday, one positive aspect is the humidity will be dropping. But that's because of a front that could fire some severe storms. I'll break that timeline down coming up. The worst of it will be tomorrow because the humidity will be up, and that is why we have the heat alerts that are in place. This is an extreme heat warning here in the hot pink color that goes until 9 p.m. tomorrow evening, including the metro area where your feels like temps could make their way up to 110. So heat safety precautions, a must tomorrow. Today we had the cloud cover that kind of lingered a little bit more throughout the morning, and so that kept our high temp down in the 80s. We topped out at 86 this afternoon, above that average of 83, but not into the 90s and not hitting the record of 99. Also warm this morning with the low of 71. Now tonight it's going to stay warm. Notice our overnight lows are down just to the 70s. So not much of a reprieve from the heat tonight, and then tomorrow we fly back into the 90s. So if you're doing anything coming up here tomorrow, even if you're headed out to the Twins game, do keep in mind, of course, you're going to need to take those heat safety precautions, drink plenty of fluids. Pre-game temps already at 88. Feels like 97 pre-game. By the end of the game, mid-90s with those feels like temps again. We only had 3 days where we were below average, so we're at almost 4 degrees above average. It has been a hot month of July. Now we have some storms in place across southwestern Minnesota and off to the west. We previously, earlier in the show, I showed you where these were some severe thunderstorm warn boxes. Those have since died off. Now we have a storm passing through Windham, non-severe at this time, and then also some storms starting to push into far western Minnesota. I will mention these counties here in the pink are underneath a severe thunderstorm watch until 2 a.m. So watching some of those thunderstorms sliding across southern Minnesota, looking at mainly straight line winds as the greatest threat. Next, future radar pulls those through predominantly off to the south here. Then as we go into tomorrow, hot and humid. That's what you need to plan for the day coming up here tomorrow. As we go into tomorrow evening, if you have outdoor plans, be weather aware. That's when we pull in those thunderstorm chances that could be rolling through, and some of those storms could reach severe levels. We just have the humidity, the heat. We have those ingredients for severe weather, and a 2 out of 5 slight risk for severe storms for most of Minnesota and western Wisconsin. In the meantime, it stays hot tonight. We're down to 75, and then tomorrow's high temp forecast to hit 97. That's your air temp. Dew points almost off the charts in the swampy 70s category, dropping back closer to muggy by Monday, so not as bad Monday. Humidity dips, so that's why we could see a drop of that next weather alert, the extreme heat warning. We got to get past tomorrow.